Hello again, I'm Julia, and we're looking at another verbal question type in this video. Since we talked about inference questions last time, we're going to apply a similar approach to selecting argument conclusions from the answer choices today. These two question types feel like they go hand in hand to me. Let's look at a couple of examples from TTP and see if you agree. Here's the first question we're going to work through together. When DNA evidence related to criminal proceedings is deemed inadmissible in a courtroom, it must be true that either the DNA evidence was possibly contaminated or it was tampered with by the police. According to the law, in no way can the inadmissibility of a criminal defendant's DNA evidence in a courtroom be interpreted as an implication of the defendant's guilt. However, members of the jury will occasionally develop negative feelings towards defendants when their DNA evidence is deemed inadmissible. Which of the following statements best completes the argument above? The question is asking us to complete the argument, which is code for find the conclusion. Let's lay out our premises. First, when DNA evidence is deemed inadmissible, it can be due to contamination or mishandling. Second, the law forbids the jury from using this inadmissible evidence or the evidence's inadmissibility as an implication of a defendant's guilt. Third, the jury can still develop a prejudice against the defendant even though they're not supposed to. We're going to use the therefore test for these answers. Basically, we're going to put the word therefore at the end of the argument and before each answer choice and see which one works best as a conclusion. I'll show you what I mean with the first choice. When DNA evidence related to criminal proceedings is deemed inadmissible in a courtroom, it must be true that either the DNA evidence was possibly contaminated or it was tampered with by the police. According to the law, in no way can the inadmissibility of a criminal defendant's DNA evidence in a courtroom be interpreted as an implication of the defendant's guilt. However, members of the jury will occasionally develop negative feelings toward defendants when their DNA evidence is deemed inadmissible. Therefore, most defendants with inadmissible DNA evidence are guilty. Does that sound like a good conclusion? To me, it seems to contradict the premises, so it wouldn't make a good conclusion. Choice B, therefore, admissible DNA evidence indicating that a defendant is innocent can sometimes be wrong. This choice is talking about something else than the argument is talking about. It's out of scope. It's not our answer. C, therefore, jurors should trust their feelings when they are involved in deliberations related to criminal proceedings. This just completely contradicts the argument. It says that they behave unfairly when they trust their feelings. So this is not our answer. D, therefore, perceptions of a defendant's guilt are sometimes inappropriately influenced by inadmissibility of DNA evidence. This fits well with the premises, and it concludes the argument in a logical way by clarifying that what the jurors are doing by being swayed, even though they're not supposed to be swayed, is inappropriate. So this one is our best answer so far. Let's check our last answer. E, therefore, some jurors ignore the fact that DNA evidence is inadmissible when evaluating the guilt of a defendant. This one is a bit tricky, but it is an overreach. The argument states that jurors can judge defendants negatively if DNA evidence in their case is deemed inadmissible, but this choice is stating that those jurors are straight up ignoring that the evidence is inadmissible. Ignoring a direct order is more severe than getting bad vibes off of someone or judging them in a vaguely bad way due to things outside of their control. So this answer is not the one for us. Best answer is D. Let's look at our next question. In a recent sociological study, an actor posing as a job candidate interviewed for 100 similar entry-level positions using the same resume in each case. In half of the cases, the actor indicated that he had been convicted of a minor crime, and in these cases, the actor was statistically less likely to be called back for a second interview than when he did not indicate that he had been convicted of a minor crime. Which of the following hypotheses is most strongly supported by the statements above? This question stem is asking for which hypothesis is most strongly supported, which might seem like a request to strengthen the argument if you were in a hurry. Be sure you're answering the question that's been asked. There are two things to keep in mind when looking for the author's conclusion here. One, an actor has been applying to jobs and indicating in half of the applications that he's been convicted of a minor crime. Two, in the cases where he's indicating that, he's statistically less likely to be invited to interview. What's a logical conclusion to these two statements? A, therefore, the actor used the same university transcript when applying for each job. This isn't a conclusion so much as additional information, which is not what we need here. B, therefore, on average, finding employment is almost as difficult for individuals who have been convicted of minor crimes as it is for individuals who have been convicted of major crimes. This argument isn't discussing major crimes, so this conclusion would be out of scope. C, therefore, some employers consider factors besides work experience when hiring. This choice follows very clearly from the argument. The actor is applying to jobs with the same resume, so the same work experience, but he's getting different results. The constant is his work experience, but the results vary. So it follows that some employers consider other factors than work experience when hiring. This is the best answer so far. D, therefore, government should prohibit employers from asking job candidates about criminal records. This one could eventually be a conclusion to these premises, but not without more premises. This one kind of jumps the gun. It's not yet well enough supported to be our choice. And E, therefore, the most common reason for people's having difficulty finding employment is that they have been convicted of crimes. This is out of scope. The experiment only covers one tiny aspect of application difficulty, indicating that you've committed a minor crime. There are many other things that can make a job search difficult. Best answer is going to be C. We're going to look at one more example. In legislative elections in country Z, the incumbent usually wins re-election when the economy in that legislator's district is doing well. However, when the economy is doing poorly, or when a majority of citizens in a legislator's district can express concerns about the strength of the economy, simply being the incumbent no longer provides an advantage. The statements above are logically structured to lead to which of the following conclusions? Let's identify our evidence that we need to find the conclusion for. The incumbent usually wins re-election when the economy is doing well, but being an incumbent isn't an advantage when the economy isn't doing well, or there are a lot of concerns about the health of the economy. Let's look at our choices. Therefore, in country Z, if the economy in a district is doing poorly in an election year, the incumbent legislator in that district probably will not be reelected. Not necessarily. All it's stating is that being an incumbent doesn't provide an advantage in that case. If you're running against some dude everyone hates, you're probably still going to have a chance even if the economy was bad. B, therefore, in country Z, the economic expertise of a legislator is the factor that has the most impact on whether that legislator will be reelected. This could be true, but the passage doesn't discuss the relative importance of economic health to other issues. So we don't know enough to pick this conclusion. C. Therefore, in country Z, any incumbents who have been reelected when economic conditions have been poor must have been in quote unquote safe districts structured to make it easier for incumbents to win. This is a reach. Maybe they were just better than the alternative candidates. Maybe no one else ran because their district is a mess and no one else wanted to clean it up. There's nothing to indicate that the districts are structured in a way that would alter the election outcomes. D. Therefore, in country Z, when economic conditions are poor, the impact on electoral outcomes of candidates' qualifications will tend to be greater than it will be when economic conditions are strong. This is a good conclusion. If people usually care about the economy, and if they'll usually give incumbents the benefit of the doubt if it's doing well, but those same voters have to be wowed if the economy isn't doing as well, then they need to be looking at other aspects of the candidates to make their decision. So they would consider the candidate's qualifications more thoroughly in those elections. E. Therefore, voter turnout in country Z can be expected to be greater for elections held when the economy is doing poorly than for those held when the economy is doing well. This isn't supported. Elections are decided by majorities at whatever numbers show up. Maybe more people will show up and vote, maybe they won't, but we don't know for sure, so we can't pick this answer. Our best answer is going to be D. Welcome back, my critical reasoning pals. What did you think? Did the therefore test help you to pick well-supported conclusions? Do you see the similarities between other question types and these questions starting to emerge? I hope this CR section is coming together more for you as a cohesive subject. Keep up the good work, and I will see you next time.